What's up, guys? It's Ruka here,
And Steve here.
and we're back with another idol
Yeah.
discussion, and we brought guests. So
Yay!
please
Woo!
welcome
Hello.
from
Hello.
Idol Downtime, we have DXTakamina, Maria, aka Maru, and Mette. Say hello,
Yo, what's
everyone.
up?
Hi.
What's up? What's up?
So yeah,
Hello.
last week was a lot of fun because I actually got to be a guest on their show on Idle Downtime and talk with them about a bunch of different things. So I decided I wanted to invite some of them over here to join our little corner of the internet.
Awesome. Awesome.
It's nice to be here.
Yeah, nice to be here. What's up?
So yeah, today I figured that in the celebration of Valentine's Day, the day of
Huh?
love, we are going to talk about why we love our idols. And of course, we're talking about several different varieties of idols here: J-pop idols, mainstream, underground, K-pop idols. We're just going
Hmm.
to talk
Gotcha.
about all our love about them, what we love about them, why we love them, why we support them. This is just going to be more of a casual talk sort of thing. So, who'd like to go first?
Hmm.
Not...
Well, I know I talk a lot, and I imagine so I can start. I
Mm-hmm.
think maybe
Mm-hmm.
if everybody else is fine with it. So for I assume the majority of people watching this don't actually know who my main people are, and like my all-time favorite idols would be in K-pop, the member of EXO Kai, a member of 17 Woozi, and then a member of NCT slash Wavy Kun. And then in J-pop, it would be Hirata Yorina, aka Techi, formerly of Kayakizaka. So those are like, my main people who I adore from the bottom of my heart, and I just adore them. And I would say I'm the type who falls in love at first sight. It's like they have to have that it factor, that something mysterious, because it's like I will not like sit down to get to learn to know a group and then pick like, oh, them I actually love. No, I have to find them like I don't know, watching a clip online, watching a music video. They have to catch my eye, and so that also kind of means I think they have to that means personality, like at least at first, isn't that big of a factor for me. Like, of course, personality will make me love them more and go from like
Mm.
just a normal bias or Roshi to being my all-time favorite.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So I think like really the X factor is really important for me. Yeah. Mhm.
So
Yeah.
what's
Did you
gonna...
So
just see
like
that? My cat
Oh,
just came into
yes.
the room.
oh, gotcha.
Aw.
Decided to join our
Aw.
recording
Kitty cat.
again.
Ah, kitty cat.
All right, so yeah, that's
So
really
like
cool.
so
Sorry, you go on.
okay, I'll go on a bit more, but it's like what else? But it's like okay, well, but also like for all time, it's like the first thing that catches my eye is really the talent. That's something inside of them, because
Mm-hmm.
like I even remember with most of my biases what made me fall for them. Like I remember the music video. I remember like the precise scene where I went, them. It's just well, with Techi especially, it was like well the whole Guroi Hitsuji music video. It was just her, so
Mm.
and she was just everything I really want for and look for in a bias. It's like, the ability to form and convey emotions so incredibly well. And like
Mm.
all my others have that as well. Like EXO Sky, one of the best idol performer ever, in my opinion. 17's Woozy, well, the way he writes songs, it's like he can convey the feeling of love so deeply and so clearly within his songs that I just melt. I just melt. Yeah. Mette has seen me melt down over my favorites so much. She just has.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
she's been telling us like you always spam her about your idols.
Yes, I have full on meltdowns, and it's like they change like that. It's like one day I'll be like, "Oh, Kai has been attacking me. I can't live," and then like an hour later I will be, "Oh God, oh, once Hitomi has posted this picture or whatever, and I cannot cope," and then and it'll just change like with the wind. constantly.
Mm.
I can never live. I can never live.
Nice. It always is like that. It is it's always like that actually. As for me personally, when what I look into an idol, at first it was like their behavior, it was their behavior back in the day, because when I first got into the 48 group, talking about that specific right now, I was quite attracted to Shinoda Mariko. She had this tomboyish
Oh.
yet elegance aura around her. But once I got into the fandom, basically, I slowly shifted to Takamina, and that's when I noticed I tend to go for the leader type. So, and back then, Takamina was promoted to general manager, basically. And after her graduation, she basically talked a lot to Komi, and I felt like I should check her out a bit more and let's see what she's all about. And she didn't send out at first, and then she got the Team K captaincy, and then I started to follow her a bit more and more and more and more. And in the end, I switched from Takamina to Komi, basically. And that's just for the 48 groups. I also followed Matsuri Rena back in the day for a bit, along with Imemoto Izumi from HKT48. She wasn't that leader, but she had this dependable aura around her, which I really liked. And then I slowly started to look around a bit more at BNK48, especially because my friend is actually living in Thailand, and he invited me a couple of times to come over and attend a concert with him, because he's quite easily able to get tickets for the BNK theater. So, and I made this promise to go visit Thailand one day and visit him one day as well, to hang out and check around Bangkok, basically. Might do that once the pandemic is over, but nothing is set in stone yet. But he really wants to attend the BNK along with me, BNK theater stage along with me. So, and I was interested in Thailand in general because I'm quite interested in the food and such as well. So I kind of want to check that out. So that might be somewhere in the future planning. And whilst I was in Japan, it was one of the first time I also attended on the Chika Idol World, basically. And right now I am following around Kakisaki Rizaki from
Oh yeah.
Manako right now. She's now part of Manako. She used to be with the Konoma. And another idol, underground idol I follow is Aoi Nikki. She used to be uh, part of a duo group called Kokapio, but I think they disbanded. And another which I'm following right now is one idol that Derek is producing, Miho, and she's really fun to talk to, and she actually replies on Twitter as well, which makes the interaction way more fun than expected. So, but that's how I got into the fandom of idol in general and what I'm doing right now. So that's all it. Who wants to go next?
I can go next.
All right.
And Maria, we can't hear you.
No, no, sorry, I muted myself. Like what this really makes me think, DX is like it's such a different thing from how you fall in love with an idol for the first time and how you go on from falling in love again. Because when you kind of already know what idols are, it's like you already kind of a bit know what you are looking for, and I don't care for that type of idol, or I like this, or this is new to me, and the
Yeah,
it's
exactly. So
it's interesting.
it's more like trying stuff out and see what clicks with you mentally, or what keeps on. There has to be this type of chemistry, I guess, or
A
you have to.
connection.
Yeah, there has to be this type of connection, and sometimes it just happens, and sometimes it doesn't happen, because sometimes I don't go for the mainstream or something like that, and sometimes I do go for the mainstream. It has to be
Yeah.
the type of connection, basically. So that's it.
Honestly, I always compare it to falling in love with like anybody else. It's like because the love you have for an idol is unique. It's not the same as the love you have for a significant other. It's not the same kind of love you have for a sibling. It's
Hmm.
just the love you have for an idol. And it's like the same way, not everybody is compatible to be your significant other, Not everybody is compatible to be your idol.
Yeah, exactly. I guess it's something like that in general, to be quite honest. So it's more like, yeah, and I'm if I don't like an idol, I usually tell like something about her or him or whatever puts me off and not makes me not want to follow, basically. So that's always how it is, usually most of the time. So yeah. But continue, Mette.
So, well, the most recent time I gained a new Aussie was when TGM debuted. So that's kind of the most recent experience. And I think when I look for an Ossiman or a new Kami Ossi, not that I look for one often, I think the one thing is the one Maria said. It has to be something about, not necessarily for me a performance, but when I see them in a clip of doing something, for example, Chaprang, when I first saw her, it was on stage and I wasn't really sure. There was a lot of people, didn't know them, but then I got to watch BNK Senpai. And then you got to see more of her personality, what the kind of things she likes. And the person I saw there and the personality traits that shone through that show showed me that I really liked the way she thinks. It's similar to me, the same kind of interests. And for me, it's really important when I choose an Aussie that they have a drive to achieve their dream, because that's what I connect to. And it goes with when I found Atchan back in the days.
Oh yeah, yep.
Back in the Stone Age. It feels like now.
Still, it's already like 16 years right now. So yeah, 16 years
Yeah.
already.
My God.
Yeah, it's so rough. So rough, right?
Makes you feel old immediately when you think about, oh, I can remember when Yuko's graduation concert was, and just like, oh God, that's like almost 10 years ago soon.
The one thing that stood me by was actually being in Japan near the Tokyo Dome with Achan's graduation concert. I was like,
yeah,
why wasn't I a fan back then?
Missed opportunity.
Basically,
you should have known.
Same here. When I first got into AKB, it was after they had their concert in Washington D.C. So it was like,
wow,
if I had been a fan of them sooner, I could have known about this.
Oh. I feel a pain right here, just going, I wish I could have gone. And they did something in France, I think, back
in France and Spain, as well.
Oh, the Spain thing I wish I could have gone to, but
yeah, same. But usually with
thing,
France,
I didn't know
it's
about the
basically
Spain
a relative.
concert.
Yeah,
they
it
were
was
in Madrid.
It was in Madrid or Barcelona, I think.
Yeah.
I did one of those places, but it was basically part of an anime convention, basically.
Oh wait, maybe I have heard about that. If that was more recent, yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty recent actually. But they were supposed to perform on this anime convention, and once the fandom in Europe got to know it, it sold out instantly, basically. So.
Oh wait, that's right. Now I remember because Kamiya the Emika was there.
Yep, exactly.
But
I think but I've seen I've seen Kamieda stream a bit along with Josh playing Among Us, for instance. So it was really fun to watch, and I think she is relatively easy to get hold of actually, since she's not an idol.
Really?
I'm not sure how Josh does it, but I think it's like the second or third time she's been a guest on one of his shows, basically. So
wow.
He has secret connections. He's actually like the spider master pulling strings behind the scenes. But like you two, you are like the originals of the show. Like, what makes you fall in love with idols?
Yeah.
I guess I'll go first. For me, it's definitely more about personality. However, I feel like since going to the underground scene, and that's where I was for like a whole 6 months. For me, it definitely has to start with the music. Unfortunately, the 48 groups kind of can't deliver on that at all.
No.
But it's essentially it starts with the music for me getting into the group, and then from there it kind of diverges into getting to know the girls' personalities. But however, back when I first got into AKB, it was just entirely based on a girl's personality from what I've seen either on like AK Bingo or like mainly AK Bingo, because that's really like the only content where you could find and get to know the personalities.
Solid content.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the first girl that stood out to me was Matsui Jirina. She's
Ooh.
been my cameo, well, my AKB SKE Kamiyoshi. Except for that one small amount of time where Komi took over. That one small amount of time. But the reason was I really like Jirina's like competitiveness, how she's always trying to do her best. I mean, I think me and Ruka have talked about like she literally like works herself to death all the time. Like she doesn't care if she's sick. She still wants to continue the concert. I believe that's what it was like for the Sosenkyo, the last Sosenkyo concert, where she tried to do her absolute best to stay in there.
And she was doing everything at that point. Like, there was a Sosenkyo, there was Produce 48 happening at the same time. Going back and forth to Japan and Korea.
Crazy.
And all that pressure was just taking a toll on her.
Honestly, from what I've seen with idols like that, they honestly just need really strong staff around them who will just go like, no, you're not practicing anymore. Like, you're going to bed now. Like, this is it. We're gonna turn off, like, I don't know, the power in the practice room because you are not practicing anymore. Because, like, I know a member of EXO, Chinese member of EXO, like, he is as much of a workaholic. Like, to the point he has collapsed in public multiple times in the past. Well, he hasn't for years now, but, you know, it happened a lot. And, like, but after that, the stuff literally became, like, you know, past midnight, power up in the practice room. This is it. You've been away too long. Taking away your laptop. You're not working anymore. And I think, like, maybe Jirina could, like, wisden up on her own. Or maybe she got herself, you know, some good stuff behind her.
Perhaps.
And the same thing goes with Komi as well. When I first started getting into Komi, like, at first, obviously, she was, like, the very cutesy type. But then over time, as she matured, she got these leader qualities. And you can really tell that she was really working hard.
Yeah.
Especially, like, for her, not just her teammates, but, like, the whole group in general. She's been trying really hard to try to unite the whole group. But then, I guess going into the Chika side, I guess my first Kamiyoshi in the Chika world was Himari from Necronominal.
Oh, Nakoma, nice.
However, she's kind of a bit upset with me when I because of Oshi Henning. Yeah. So when I went to Nagoya, I had an opportunity to see a lot more groups. So I got to meet like a lot more personalities and girls. And I think it was within the first 2 weeks I was in Japan, I found this new group that I really liked. And I ended up making one of the members my Kamiyoshi. And then the day after I told her that she just left the group. I know, I told Ruka about that. It was so sudden because like they had their live and she didn't come out for Bupan. And I was like, okay, maybe like something came up. And then I think it was like the next day or something, the manager was like, yeah, she deleted her Twitter. We can't get a hold of her. And I'm just like,
God.
That
that sounds like karma for disloyalty. Karma for disloyalty.
That's what they call a big oof. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I've had a kind of similar experience to this as well. A group I love, Pink Fantasy. When I first got into them, I had 3 favorite members. And then at one point, I picked a favorite. She left the group. Then I picked another favorite. She left the group. And I always joke, like, the last one left, like, she just kicked the others out, like, forcefully to be my bias.
Wow.
The same happened to you. You should you see maybe you're or she did something shady to get you come back to her.
That would be something.
And because that happened to me, I wrote on Twitter that I was sad that happened, and then a member from one of my other, well, I guess my main group now, the group that I'm hoping to work for, I was really shocked because she saw my tweet of me being sad, and then when I went to the live, the next time I went to their live, I think it was a couple days later, she was asking me if I was okay, and she was really, really concerned about me. And I was really shocked because I wasn't really expecting that. Kind of where they actually really, really care about you. And then from then, I just was head over heels with her name was Iwahashi Anna. I was head over heels for her. She became my Kamiyoshi right then. And then, unfortunately, she has already left the group.
Oh, okay. That's rough
But
again.
it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, based on the situation that I'm in kind of now, it doesn't really matter at this point because I'm already decided that I'm going to be Idol staff. Or he's trying to become Idol staff, so I kind of have to leave all that behind me.
Yeah, it's rough when you enter the professional side, so you can't be a fan anymore basically.
Yeah. But just when you're at the lives, you can really get a really good connection with the members, especially if you're there. And then from there, you get to learn about all these other different types of personalities. Something that I have noticed before even going to Japan is that I start liking the Ponkotsu Baka type members. Definitely was confirmed with Keiaki Zaka. Well, Sakura Zaka. Still Keiaki Zaka for me. With Berika.
Oh, Berika,
and then Matsuda Riko. And then,
oh God, you really have bad luck. Oh God, the bad luck.
And Habu.
Oh,
all of these members when I realize, oh, I guess I like idiots.
Yep.
And kind of these eccentric personalities. So yeah.
Just you really have with Rico as well. She's leaving. Leaving left. I don't know which one.
I think she left already.
I think she might have already left. Yeah, she left already. Oh God. Honestly, I'm still so sad over Keiaki. I still grieve them. I love the Sakusaka girls, but I still miss Keiaki so damn much.
Yes. Once with the whole rebranding, the whole atmosphere around the group changed basically. They used to be this dark type of idol, and now it's more on the lighter side. So I can imagine it being rough for the new change being rough on the fans who followed Keiaki from the beginning because back then everything was fierce, intense, but basically it was Tachi carrying the group, and Tachi always was like that. So, and once she announced her graduation and she left, basically, then the whole atmosphere needed to be changed because they couldn't rely on Tachi anymore to carry the group. So they had to change up basically, and the whole aura along with the name change changed basically. So it's always unfortunate. Yeah.
The reason for the concept change was because the concept was never really Keiaki's, it was Techi's concept. She's still continuing on with it. So it's but
she's good at it.
Then again, she's really good at it.
Yeah.
If Keiaki was the dark pit of pain and sadness, then Sakurasaka is the light at the end of the tunnel, maybe, It's things are hard, but it gets better.
Yeah, true.
I guess, I guess to add on, it was really funny when I went to go see Necroma and Himari when I was in Japan at the end of the year, and I was kind of hoping that Himari would kind of forget about me. But however, when I went she saw me. She gave me this eye like
I
this,
see you,
and I'm
my
just
boy.
like,
I see you.
and I'm just like, oh
Oh
no.
no.
Like, and during Chucky's, like even like right before I even talked, she's like, "Oh, Steve!" like out loud. I'm just like, "Oh no!"
Ooh.
Oh no.
And then
Big oof.
and then she was scolding me for the whole entire time.
Oh
Oh
no.
man. Big oof.
She was like,
Oh,
"Hey,
God.
Steve, I noticed that you've been taking a lot of Chuckies with different idols.
Oh.
Don't you love me?" She
Oh,
literally
no.
told me, "Don't you love me?"
Oh god.
Oh.
Like you're caught
God.
cheating. Like you're caught cheating, basically. Oh my god.
And then she's like,
And-
"We're gonna change your profile picture to this Chucky right after this." I'm just like, I can't. I'm sorry, I can't do that.
Oh, God.
Oh god.
Oh, big
So I
oof.
got
It's like a breakup.
scolded really bad.
Oh, God. And lesson to learn: never tell an idol they are your Kamiyoshi.
Yeah. Big oof. Big oof right
Big,
there.
big oof.
Oh man, imagine having your Washi scold you like in the middle of a poop on session along with the other girls. Oh my god.
Hmm.
I mean, it's not really like any of the probably Japanese fans could understand because like she was scolding me in English.
Oh good.
Ah, okay.
You're safe then.
You're safe.
Mm.
But then again, you can always tell that somebody's getting scolded, no matter the language it is. You know?
True,
Yeah,
true.
depends on the tone. Yeah, depends on
Yeah.
the tone.
Yeah.
Like if it's super extreme, then there's like, yeah, this guy is getting, yeah, he's having a rough time.
It's really funny.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh, but Molly, I don't think you have actually like talked about your experiences and idols yet.
Yes, I have. I
I
have.
want to know.
All right, so I've already kind of shared like some of my experience with you guys as well, but I'll go a little more in depth into it. So, of course, I started out getting into uh, becoming a fan of idols through like AKB. But
Mhm.
my first real exposure to Japanese idols was actually through I really like anime, so one of my favorite animes
Mhm.
and series to watch was a show called
Yeah.
Shugokara. And in
Mhm.
that show, all of the opening and ending themes were done by a Hello Project unit called Bono.
Ah,
Oh.
I know
So
them. Yeah.
like they were like kind of my first exposure to like what an idol was. Like I didn't know what like the concept of Japanese idols were, but like I heard their music and like I really liked it. I just liked J-pop in general. But yeah, like I remember like seeing them and like hearing their music when they did like the opening and ending themes to that show and I'm like, "Oh, this is really cool. I really like this." And then years later when the AKB 0048 anime came out, I saw that.
Oh yeah.
And that was
Mhm.
again another idol anime. So again, seeing that, and I didn't know at the time that it was based off of a real group. So like I didn't know that AKB was a thing. I just saw this and I'm like, "Oh, this is really cool." And hearing the songs like Shoujo Tachio, for example, I really liked that song when I
Oh
heard
yeah.
Oh, that song.
it in the
Yeah.
first
Same.
episode.
Classic.
Yeah.
Classic.
So yeah, like after a while, I kind of like fell out of it. I couldn't watch it at the time because like I was doing school and stuff like that. But then I saw Akimoto Sayaka, who was my original Kamiyoshi when I first got into the group. She was in a drama, and when I saw her name and I saw AKB48 next to her name, I'm like, that sounds familiar. So I looked it up, and that's how I started getting into the group, basically looking up their music and like clips of AK Bingo, like you guys have been saying online. But yeah, like Akimoto Sayaka, like not gonna lie, I had the biggest girl crush on her when I was in high school. Just cause like
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
so
Yep.
cool.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
the I guess what you would call the typical image of like an idol is like very cute and very girly. And Sayaka wasn't really
Mhm.
like that.
She can't. If she would probably die if her life depended on it. Yeah.
Yeah,
She would probably die
exactly.
if her life depended on it.
So like seeing her and like, learning like also the fact of like she's half Filipino and like seeing her like basically her muscular build with her body, like seeing it comparing to like, other types of idols, like especially within AKB, seeing them that are more like the cutesy girly typical type of idol, and then seeing her mixed in it, it's like she really stands out. She has a really powerful voice when she sings. Like Mushino Ballad, when I first
Yep.
heard that, I'm like, holy cow, this is amazing. Like basically it was just seeing her like not being the typical type of idol, and that was what made me love her so much, along with just learning more of her personality, just like how good of a leader she is and just how sweet of a person she is. Like it did make me really sad when like it was announced that she was graduating literally like a year after I had gotten into the group.
No.
Oh, yeah, that's
Right, because it
yeah.
was
Sometimes it can be
2013,
so. Yeah.
right, when it was graduated. So
Yeah,
like
something like that.
that hit me
Yeah.
hard at first when it was first announced, because I was like, I was still in that mindset of like, oh, when I get older, because I was like 13 at the time when I first got into
Mhm.
AKB. I'm like, when I get
Yeah.
older, I want to go to Japan and meet this group and meet this girl because I love her so much.
Mm.
So hearing her graduating, basically being like, oh, she's leaving, so I'm not going to be able to meet her. That was kind of similar to like first heartbreak, basically. That
Oh
like
Yeah.
yeah.
first heartbreak of first crush. It like hit me really hard. But I was able to move on it, and of course, like since she is still active, like as an actress, I'm able to see her like doing stuff like dramas, like I Got to Planet. I mentioned it to you guys. I
Yeah.
don't think I
Exactly.
mentioned
Yeah.
it to Steve actually, because I haven't gotten the chance to talk about it.
Oh.
But
See,
yeah, she's
listen up.
Yeah.
yeah, I'll have to tell him about that later. But yeah, like she's in I Got the Planet right now, or like last year she had her Hollywood debut in the Sniper movie. So
Oh yeah, I
like
remember
that
that
was
Wow.
actually.
really
Yeah.
cool to see.
Oh, one thing I can recommend you then is one of the Garo series. She's also in it
I
as a
saw that.
character called
I
Biku.
saw
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, she looked awesome in that.
I know,
And
she was
she's
so
she's
cool.
yeah, she's a fighter in general, and to have her fight like that was really awesome to watch actually.
Uh-huh.
That was one of the main points that stood out for me when I'm a big Garo fan in general, and when it was announced that Akigori was going to star in one of the seasons, I was like, yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait. This is going to be good. And then her episodes and her standalone movie aired. And I was like, yeah, I knew I knew I expected greatness, and I basically got it. So
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Hmm. So yeah, like after
It's like
Sayaka. Oh, go on.
no, you talk. It's your
Mhm.
party talk, so you know.
But yeah, I was gonna say after Sayaka graduated, for a while I didn't really have a set Oshimen. Like there were definitely girls that I really liked, like for example, like Miyazawa Sai and Oshima Yuko. I loved them, and I loved like their three's friendship. Like the Shinyu trio was just so cute.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And other
Hmm.
members like Takamina, for example, or Matsui Rena, just like kind of going back and forth with different members, or like there were some that I kind of like considered like becoming my Oshimen, like Hiratarina when she was still in the group, because I heard, oh,
Oh,
she's
here,
half
yeah.
American, she can speak fluent English. I'm like, that's really cool to see in a group where they're speaking
Yeah,
Japanese and you have this member who can speak
awesome.
fluent English. That is really cool.
Hmm.
Or like Iwate Karen, because I really liked her when she portrayed
Of
Nagisa in
course.
the anime, and her
Oh,
being just
yeah.
a giant
Yeah.
anime dork. Like I loved that side of her.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it wasn't until like I'd say it probably wasn't until 2014, 2015. It was around the time after like the big shuffle happened where like stuff
Hmm.
was announced like, oh, Rena is gonna be concurrent with Nogizaka, or like Saya is going
Oh,
over
yeah.
to SKE and is gonna be Team S's new leader. it was around that time when I was starting to kind of get more into SKE, and eventually Jurina became my new Oshiman because I started watching her doing showrooms more frequently. What, do you want to get out? My cat is scratching at the bottom of the door. Hold on. Do you want to leave?
Oh,
Do you want to
wow.
leave now? Okay. There you go.
Ah,
Even when it's not my own show, there's difficulties, technical. Yeah.
It haunts us.
But yeah,
Yep,
like
basically.
basically through watching her showrooms where it was just like her very casual being in her room, it'd be like she'd be eating stuff or just doing different stuff in general because she did a lot of different stuff on her showroom. She did like she would ask fans for like suggestions of like scenarios that she could like act out as like kind of a one scene skit basically, or like with her puppy playing with her puppy lip, like that is so adorable to watch. So
yeah.
I was able to find uh I guess really how personable she was,
Mm.
like how much she was interacting with her fans and stuff like that. That made me really grow to love her because I already knew about her about being like this little kid who was really spunky, really competitive, as Steve said, and just basically being like this all-star kid in the group. And then I was able to find through like watching her showrooms and stuff, seeing that more humble side to her, I guess.
Mhm.
Mm.
Like, it's a Kamiyoshi when every single new thing you learn about her makes you love her even more. Like, that's when you know it's like,
Yeah, right,
yeah, I think
basically.
it's like, yeah, it's happening again.
And like we were talking about before we were recording, I did buy an AKB CD just so I could get her a vote in the Sosenkyo.
Mhm.
Yeah, oh man,
Yeah.
that was the last of Senkyo again. Wow,
Hmm
can't believe.
I feel like that
Yeah.
experience too, again, that was something else that like I feel like really humbled Jurina, like after everything that had happened. It like really brought her down to earth. Like she was
Mm.
already a very down to earth kind of girl because she was always so grateful for her fans and like all of the like older members. I remember one show stream, she was so emotional and she was talking about all of her like her senpai figures like Mariko or Sayaka or Takamina or stuff like that. All of these older members that she admired and she had grown up with basically
Yep.
through a very good part of her life because she was so young when she joined.
Mhm.
Like it really
Yes.
feels like after that experience, like after she was able to achieve what she had worked so hard, what she was aiming for, it really felt like she was able to kind of take a step back and like really bring herself back down to earth after all that.
I imagine it like kind of hit her in the face. At that point, it's like, what am I doing? Like, okay, I imagine like when preparing for it and fighting for it, it feels like, oh, that number one in Sosenkyo, it'll be so important, it'll be big, it will change everything. And then when she got it, it was like, but everything, life goes on. Was it? And I imagine she must have had a lot of thoughts about, is it worth it? Because she really did burn herself out
Yeah.
working
Yeah.
for that. So thank you, number
Yeah.
one. And I imagine it honestly hit her that maybe it wasn't worth it, and honestly that she could have had like everything, the same things she wanted, and like all the things she really wanted and that were important to her. It wasn't the number one in the end.
Mm.
No, but maybe because winning this Senkyo basically isn't the end goal nowadays, to be quite honest.
Mm.
And I think what she was after was more validation, I would say. Because
Very
she
possible.
won the Senkyo at the point that the popularity of the 48 group wasn't as strong as it is in the past, basically. So basically, back then when you won the Sasenkyo, like for instance when Sashi or Yuko were winning it, basically,
Mm.
then the popularity of the 48 group was at its peak. So you could say that's the end goal of it all, basically. But during that last Sasenkyo, basically the powerhouses were already gone, basically. So it was basically her against supposedly back then Miyawaki Sakura. But we all know how that ended up. Sakura didn't even get the second place.
Yeah.
But what happened was Sakura got popular internationally, and that's a way bigger goal than just winning the Susenkyo, because from the past Susenkyos, the song afterwards are there, but they're not really well known if you compare it to average Ice One release.
Yep.
Everyone knows those because everyone in the world basically know those by heart at this point. And I think that is the type of validation that Jirina was after. And she thought she could get it by winning the Susenkyo back then, but she got outshined by Sakura by her getting second place in Produce 48, basically. And at this point, Miyawaki Sakura, along with Nako and Hichan, and the rest of Ice One are global stars, whilst Jirina is basically a Japanese national star.
Yeah.
She is the star, but
Honestly.
not that well known.
Sakura got the Chinese fans, and if I'm honest, Chinese fans, like if you're an idol, the fans you really want are the Chinese
The
fans.
Chinese fans.
Because they
They're
are
rich.
more organized than any others. They are richer than any of the others. They are more dedicated than any of the others. Like the Chinese fans care about the idol first and the group second. It's like, yes, sure, most of them also love the group, but if the group wasn't benefiting the idol, they would be like, the idol can just leave. We will continue to support them because they are fans of the idol, and oh god, they will do everything for them. It's honestly scary at times. Like we sometimes joke that Chinese fans are the mafia of the idol world. Because
Yeah,
for
I would be
example, with
surprised.
like
Yeah. If you
because
can
like
get your face
with
blasted on Times Square, for crying out loud.
Oh, yeah.
oh, they've done so like some with like the bigger Chinese fans, they have done even more than like Times Square, for example. The Chinese fans of my Kai, they built a school in China with dorms and a gym, and they straight up built the school. And like they've had like Sehun fans have had the planes decorated with him, like both the inside and outside. And
What?
it's like others have buses. He got planes. Lay fans, they rented a ship to promote his solo concert, and they threw a party on that ship. Just
Yeah.
Whoa.
like they're fans on another level.
Basically.
Like, I feel
Can be
happy
quite
whenever
scary.
Trapdown fans can come together and then donate like heart monitors and starters for hospitals. They give blood, and then you have
Yeah.
posters, and you can decorate like elevator doors that open in malls. And watching that, really impressive because I wasn't used to seeing that from the Japanese fans because it's harder to find. And then you hear about the Chinese fans. Oh, that big billboard over there, that airplane.
And then you see the mountains of gifts that they get for their birthdays and Christmases. Like for Christmas, it straight up was like with Hee-chan as well. Like the fandoms asked them, like, what do you want for Christmas? Or like, we'll get it for you. And it's straight up like I think I can't remember what Hee-chan wanted, but she got it. Sakura, you imagine, has more game consoles than she knows.
Yeah, she
what to
probably
do
got
with.
5 PS5 or something like that. She's probably got 5 PlayStation
sure.
5s or something.
Yeah, it's just insanity. Like I've seen the clips of like, this is a room full of gifts we got for Sakura. And here's another room. And a third room. And
God.
just in case here's a fourth room as well.
Yeah, basically. But to be quite honest, though, you don't have to be a well-known idol to have big fans. For example, Sato Minami. Remember her and her getting an iPad
Yes.
and and everything.
Of course. Like
back
it
then-
isn't that you just need a few rich ones. And
Yeah, exactly.
you're set basically.
Oh.
She basically was
mean,
a Kenkusei at the time,
I'm
and she
still
got
never
an
getting
iPad
over
and
the
everything.
story about how Obamina shot up to 8th place in the Sosenkyo because someone sold a house for her. I think that's what happened anyways.
Yeah.
Dedication.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, I
mean-
read about this for a paper I did for school. that kind of dedication is like I want to support my idol with everything I have in any way I can, but I do draw the line at selling my home.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
value yourself, your own comfort over the comfort of your idol. You know.
No,
I
but yeah, that's a dangerous line if you get drawn into much. Basically, if you can
mm,
separate your own life along with the idol life, basically,
mhm,
and if you can keep the two apart from each other, it can get dangerous real fast. Like, for instance,
mhm,
getting loans and such. I've seen stories about that as well. I've read about it, but
And to be
it
honest,
can,
and there isn't just like loans, but it's also like just spending your whole life for the idol. Like this is more like a fun story, but it also connects to like spending your whole life for the idol. Is like in K-pop there are music shows, and it was EXO were performing at one of them, and they were like between the performances, like they were talking with the fans there, and they were like, yeah, who was here yesterday? And everybody was like, I was here yesterday. Okay, and how long have you been here? We've been here since dawn. But like, what about school? What about work? Like,
yeah.
are you just not going? And the fans were like, yeah, we're just not going. We're here for you. And it like really makes it like at the moment it was like kind of a fun thing, the idols scolding their fans, you should go to school. But at the same time, it really makes you realize that fans often do really just, oh, it doesn't matter. The idol is more important than my life.
I've seen it. Like I've seen crazy fans in the underground idol scene, where they're spending at least maybe like $300 a show on checkies, $300 plus on checkies, and it's not
Oh
like
wow.
this is just like once a week. They're going multiple times a week, so they're at least spending like over $1,000 a week, like on checkies and idol merchandise, and it is
Whoa.
insane. Just seeing that.
Well, if they can afford that, I guess.
Yeah,
Right.
actually, we've seen that happen in the Netherlands when Necroma was performing as well. Everything in Japan is relatively cheap because of the yen, but back then
Mhm.
in the Netherlands, everything was accounted for in euros, and I've seen people like spend like 1,500 euros to 2,000 euros. I was like, Jesus, what the heck? That's basically a month's salary.
Oh god.
Oh god. Oh god. Just the amount of money is insane.
Like I feel excessive when I spend a lot of money. About I think I spent 150 euros on getting like on greeting you online video from BNK members I like,
Mm.
and I felt I was spending a lot of money just that, and to get like a 15-second, 20-second video of members talking to me, recognizing me, and saying my name and stuff. But then now I feel like that wasn't so bad after all.
Yeah, it can get high really quickly. Let's keep it at that. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
try to keep
Yeah.
everything separate is my advice because, well, she is still an idol, and even though she is an idol, she's still a person, and she might do
Mm.
something else in the future. And what are you going to do then? You can't keep following her forever. Basically, it's more
True.
like
Yeah.
at some point from a hardcore fan you have to go back to being a casual fan basically because she
Mm.
might not be in the group or she might not be in the industry at all. We've seen that happen with a couple of idols as well, and I wonder what their fans are going to do. Are they trying to linger around, or are the fans also going to move on basically? So
Mm.
that's quite interesting to see, to be quite honest. And I've always
Yeah.
wondered, what are you going to do once your favorite idol or your kami oshi graduates? Because if I take myself for instance, I was really a big Takamina fan, and even though I still got my username, my nickname as DXTakamina, but I'm following different pastures, and I just keep up with Takamina by sometimes just reading a tweet or something like that, but nothing more than that nowadays. Whilst in the
Mm.
past, I was really into following her on showroom or whatever the f, and just keeping up daily from minute to minute basically. And nowadays, it's just
Mm.
reading a tweet and continue on with my day basically. So I always wondered
Yeah.
how fans move on once their Oshi graduates, and are not in the industry anymore.
Mm.
That's basically what I'm getting at. How are you going to continue? How are you going to continue?
Honestly, I think it's very similar to falling out of love with an idol, even if they don't leave an industry. Because in the end, that's what happens. You stop paying as much attention to them. You fall out of love with them, so to say. Because I've had an experience where I stopped loving the group I used to love a lot, and honestly, what just happened is like for a while I missed them a lot. It's like there's this empty space in your day that usually is dedicated to them, and watching content from them and so on. But then eventually you fill it with something else, and then like sometimes you remember you miss loving them. You miss those old times, but you don't you know but you don't want them or need them as they are right now. It's sometimes you just reminisce. Weren't those good times? And then you move on with the day.
Yeah,
At least I
that's
think that's the
that's
healthy way of
basically
doing
what
it.
happened with me too, moving on from J-pop idols into K-pop idols. Basically, like
It's fine.
there's also the thing with me personally because I am autistic. So like when I was first getting into AKB and other J-pop idols, like that was my special interest. I had this hyper fixation on them because I was like, I want to hear all their music. I want to know about all these members. It was like doing that was, kind of it was something I enjoyed doing because I was so like hyper focused and hyper fixated on it. And that, also led into a lot of things. It led into me like, discovering other J-pop idols. It led to me learning Japanese actually. I taught myself how to speak Japanese because I was so interested in stuff like anime and idols that I wanted to learn the language and the culture and stuff. So that worked its way into me like kind of teaching myself the language. And now as I've talked about it with Steve when we did our year-end discussion, it's basically what it is that it's shifted for me now into K-pop because I used to be just a casual K-pop listener. I listened to a couple of groups just casually, not really getting too deep into like, what the group is like, what the members are like and stuff like that. There were just a couple of groups that like I enjoyed their music, so I'm going to listen to them. And there may be one or two members that I really like and I know some stuff about them, but other than that, I'm not hardcore into that. But then when Misaki, my friend, when she recommended me Luna, and then, so yeah, like that's kind of how it started, like them, K-pop, and especially Luna and Dreamcatcher becoming my current special interests now. Is like now I'm so hyper focused on them and other K-pop groups that I'm like, yes, I still love SKE, but it's not like I'm not so hyper fixated on them anymore.
But like for me, it's like love like that kind of. For me, it's like like the focus comes and goes. Obviously, I'm not autistic, so it's a lot different for me. But it is like I always say like at least in K-pop, I have three ultimate idols: Kai, Woozi, and Kun, and I love them all equally because it's like they all have my whole heart and my whole soul. Because I can't take my soul, tear it into three pieces, and say you have this one bigger piece and you have this other smaller piece. No, it doesn't work like that. They all have the whole thing. But it isn't like at every given moment I care and pay attention to all of them equally. It's more like, at the moment I am paying attention to Woozy and, Kai is in the background. I still love him, but at the
For
moment
now.
he isn't my focus. And then another day I might go, oh god, Kai is so goddamn beautiful, and the others are more on the background. And it's like, but that doesn't really mean I don't love them. Love them. It just means, they're not the focus right now.
It's literally that saying, my bias is whoever I'm looking at right now, basically. That's why I can't pick a bias with Dreamcatcher. It's like I love them all so much. It's so hard for me to pick one.
But for me, it's like once I pick a bias, that is written in stone. Like the closest I've come to being bias wrecked is having Jaeon and Hee-chan both be my bias in Aizuan instead of just Jaeon. Like that is the closest I've come. Because otherwise, it's just like like I would rather understand the whole group than I would first understand the whole group, then change my bias. Because it's like for me to even get into a group, I need to have a bias because it's like something to hold on to. I get bored quite quickly, so it's like if I don't have somebody to focus on, like when I'm watching like shows, I'm like, but I don't care about any of you. Like I don't care what you, I don't know what kind of food you like. But if I have a bias, I have a reason to watch it, because I care about what kind of food they like, and eventually I fall in love with the other members as well. Hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
I guess one idol that I forgot to mention that is one of my favorite idols is Hanako-san.
Ah, there we go.
I mean,
Here we go. You got
I had
destroyed?
the yeah, I got destroyed. Not only destroyed, I got cursed for eternity.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Do tell, do tell, do tell.
I was lucky enough to get a chance to interview her back when Derek did his Eats Meets West in
Ah, right.
California. Sadly, that's the only video that I ended up translating and uploading. I didn't get the opportunity to do Necromas and Yanamuse. And strangely enough, like Hanako-san was like the one I was most comfortable around. Just
Oh.
because like I've never seen an idol with a more bigger gap moe than Hanako-san. It's night and day. Like she is insane live. Her screaming, her throwing stuff, her spitting stuff like in your face, dumping stuff out on you. That actually happened to me. She dumped like fruit juice on me. And then seeing like afterwards, like she's just this very, very like shy girl, and it's just like the biggest gap moe because it's so cute. She goes from the screamer to very outgoing person to this very, very quiet and shy.
Oh, I relate.
And it was
I relate to that so much. Yeah, I live for dualities, honestly. Like, I keep talking about Exo Sky, but, well, he is insane on stage in another way. He isn't dumping anything on anyone, but, he is. Yeah, that kind of thing is unique to underground J-pop, I think. But he will be the most arrogant, most confident guy on stage ever. He will he will be gladly without a shirt, wear a crop top, anything. He will be arrogant, look fans into the eye, wink while he's body rolling, absolutely slay you. And then the moment he stops performing, he will be just like, oh, can somebody give me a longer shirt to cover myself up, Like, what do I do? Somebody help, I'm shy. Help, what do I do? It's so I really get what you mean with the gap, because it's like,
no, same
you get both,
here.
but yeah,
Like same
you get
here
best
with
of both
like
worlds.
yeah, exactly. Because like with Dreamcatcher 2, for example, when I showed them to Steve, he basically said the same thing. Because when I showed him their songs, they were like, they have this very serious, they have this very kind of dark concept. So it's like you would expect they would be serious off stage as well. But no, they're all crazy. They are all so ridiculously
Insanity.
funny. And like I was under that impression too
yeah.
when I was still just a casual listener of them and I didn't know any of their personalities. So when I saw when they're doing all of this really cool badass stuff when they're performing and they're being total goofballs in every other situation.
Yeah. Like a lot of people, it's like these assumptions are so common, because Sky actually has a lot of people and non-fans, a lot of haters think, oh, he's arrogant, he's mean. When in fact, like, when the group leader was complimenting each member, like at the final of the concert, he was like straight up crying, because you can't come just so sentimental and compliment us here, like, you're mean. Why are you doing this to me? Why are you making me cry on stage? And it's just like, it's easy to misunderstand, like if you just watch performances or videos. So actually, this reminds me of another thing that connects like all of my all-time favorite idols, and that is, I would say, love for their work and like love for the fans, because it's like 17's Woozy. He writes basically all of 17 songs, and the pure amount of undiluted love he's able to put into the songs he writes, like you can hear it, and like I'll just melt every time, and you can see how much he cares about the whole group, and like how he will do everything for them. He will tell the other members as well, like you guys are my everything, basically. Or EXO Sky, and like the way he will smile on stage is honestly the brightest, most beautiful and cutest smile ever. Like there are some songs like an encore song where he can just let free and dance, like basically whatever. Like the smile he has on his face is honestly just so stunning, and I can't ever get enough of it. And Wavy's gone. He's the leader of Wavy, and like he has straight up said, like I strive to be more mature than the other group members, so they can be kids. They can be mature. They can rely on me. And I just want to hug him because he's such an amazing person. Kun is, his type of the person you want as a friend, because he will take care of you, and you can trust him. And I just love him. They're all perfect. I could gush about my all-time favorites, honestly, for forever. I would, if I could never stop.
No,
so,
and I feel the same way too, because again, that work ethic about how grateful they are for their fans for supporting them. Like, Dreamcatcher's the same way, Luna's the same way, IZ*ONE is the same way. There are a lot of groups and other idols in K-pop and in J-pop as well that are like that are so grateful to their fans that they just want to express it in any way they can.
And honestly, it's something that I don't think non-idols or like non-performance can really understand to a point, because I know Kai has said, like, before I debuted and even like at the beginning, I didn't really understand what the connection between like an idol and fans is, because it's like I thought, of course fans love me, I perform for them, how it goes, seems normal. But then like the same way, at least I assume, fans fall for the idol falls for the fans. And because as they keep telling us, like, as long as there is one fan out there who will come and attend, I will perform. It doesn't matter if there is 1,000, 10,000, a million fans out there, or only one. I will still perform.
Yeah, that's something that I really understand, because when I'm talking with the members like of my groups that I went to go see, after you see them like so many times, you build this connection. It's like you sort of, at least I don't know if it's normal now, but like you feel like you've kind of like become friends with them. It's not really like an idol fan kind of like relationship. It just feels like you have become like one of their friends, and it's just like a normal conversation with them.
Yeah, this reminds me of a GFriend fan site. It's like, okay, like for people who might not know, for who are more into J-pop fan sites, so to take pictures of the idols, follow them through their schedules, and it's like GFriend. Of course, idols learn to know them most, the main fan sites and the ones who are always around. So they know them, and GFriend knows who are their fan sites, who are there to take pictures of them. And whenever a fan site would take a picture of another member, they would be like, get jealous and be like, "You, what are you doing? You're my fan site. You take pictures of me, not her, me, mine." Which actually kind of reminds me what you said, like about your Kamiyoshis, being like, "Are you cheating on me?" Basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you cheating on me?
Another thing I just
love it.
Oh, you go on, Matt.
So with
Mette.
I think the moment of release combines those things for me is with Chaplong when she won the first election, because that was the second you saw that, and this is partly why I love her so much, and even more after seeing her live, that she never intended to become the center of the group. She was the captain. It was her role to be the one who led them, and then someone else like music was going to be the number one, or Janice. And then she became the most popular member, and she was standing on stage talking about she was wondering if she was becoming a wall everyone else had to climb over and to surpass, and she was feeling extremely lonely, but she was still expressing her love for the group, for those members who were there that she was still leading, even if she was also ahead of them. And at the time, she was maybe 10,000 votes. Was it 20,000 votes?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, actually.
And it was just insane to see that dedication becoming so obvious for us fans in the room. And I was sitting there without a translator, so but even to me, it was obvious what was going on stage. And when the members came running down, hugging her and telling her, you know what, we love you, and it doesn't matter right now what these rankings means. It's us together being group and being idols.
Yeah.
And that kind of love is so amazing for us to experience as fans.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just
exactly.
amazing.
It's honestly what I would say is the difference between a leader of and like an average member of the group. Of course, it's good if the average member is like that as well. Is that an average member? They can always be like me. I want to be in the front. I want to talk. But a leader's job is more to sometimes take a step back, pull the others back as well. Now is her time to talk. Now her. Everybody needs to talk, and like most members can think like how to push themselves forward, but a leader thinks more, at least a good leader thinks about how to push everybody in the group forward. And so I think, and that's why I think, very often leaders tend to get overlooked a lot
Yeah.
because they themselves take that step back.
Exactly.
It's not just about me; it's about us all. And like that's why it's also always very wonderful to see a leader being really popular because it's like they are getting the appreciation they deserve. Honestly, oftentimes I think leaders deserve like a separate salary from the company that is just like an extra on top of what they already get. Like
Yeah,
especially in like K-pop, because sometimes it's like they do so goddamn much for the group.
But
A
there was
group with a good leader.
there was
No,
always
you
this
talk. You talk.
there was always this quote I have from Robin back in the day. There is the leader and there's the ace of the group.
Yeah.
Basically, the ace is always who outshines the rest, and the leader is always the person who is taking care of everything in the background, basically.
Yeah.
Because back then, in the beginning days, it was Maeda Atsuko as the ace, as the face of AKB48, and then there was the heart, which was Takamina, basically. And that always evolved on, basically. And if I were to take a guess for nowadays AKB48, I would say the ace of the group is Okada Nana, whilst the soul and the heart is Murayama Yuri, because she is basically the theater goddess.
Yeah.
And that's
And in that vein
I
now,
think it's
Nachan is
like,
actually acting as the leader for STU because of the whole concurrency. So like her being the
true.
ace for one
But
group, but then acting as the leader role for another group.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
And
there's always that
like
there's always that dynamic, basically, the ace and the leader, basically. You have to
definitely.
keep it as two separate entities, because you can be a leader and an ace, but that role is really hard
It's a
to
lot.
fulfill. It's a
And
It's
lot.
so
and if
much.
the leader and the ace are the same person, what I found often happens also is that they tend to outshine the whole group
Yeah.
horribly. What tends to happen
Yeah.
then is the group becomes like, I don't know, in K-pop it would be like Yuna's group, 4 minutes.
Yep.
It becomes essentially that members group instead of being the group who has those members. And
It happened with NMB as well, with Sayaka Yamamoto. She was the face and the captain at the same time. And basically it became Sayane and friends instead of Enemy 48. Or during the Kayakizaka days, it was Hirate and friends, basically.
Yep.
Yeah.
Techizaka.
Although Techi
It was the
wasn't
same
really
for
a
gameplay
leader or captain type
for a while.
role.
no, she wasn't.
No.
I would say
No.
what happened is that she just was too powerful of an ace and the center, and
Staff was
everything
pushing
was
her
centered
too
around her.
much.
Oh God,
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
is the most overpushed member, and not be overpushed in the way that she doesn't deserve it, but in the way she physically could not handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think
But like,
most companies learn from that post having that kind of relationship. You saw the managing company for Kakizaka learning from when Tetsu left, or trying to learn still. It's an ongoing process. But and even I am the company for BNK. When we saw that Chaprang was pushed to the peak of everything, and there was so much hate towards her because she was the center, they took a step back and just went, well, we're not going to change who she is or what she does, but we're going to keep showcasing our younger, newer generations and our other members. And now I think I can say quite confidently that Chaprang isn't the only ace in BNK or even the Thai 48 group, because they managed to go away from that one person cult it was going to become eventually, which is good.
which is really, really good.
Mhm.
And a story I would like to say, like, talk about is like what really showcases the importance and like of a really strong leader. Because I think EXO's leader Suho is the strongest leader in K-pop period. Because in 2014, EXO had 2 members leave, and then one more in 2015. And when the first member left, he left without telling any of the other members. And the members found out when the rest of the world did, when he sued their company, which,
Whoa.
is a tough spot to be in.
Yep.
Mhm.
Wow.
And on that same day, they found out they won on a music show. And normally you go up on stage, in front of the fans, accept the award. And understandably, the other members were quite upset. And the leader Suho went up on stage alone to perform the encore alone, to accept the award alone. And he never once looked anything but perfectly calm. And it was, well, fans were like, basically this, just crying. It's like, and I still wonder where in the world he got the strength from to do that. And I am so thankful that he had that strength, because that means other members are able to, rely on him to support them when things are tough. It really holds a group together, I would say.
Mhm.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, so rough. Wow.
Yeah. Oh God.
What I wanted to say was actually something else that I really like seeing with idols is like when you see them being fans of other idols. Like that makes them
Yes.
Oh
so
yeah.
relatable.
Oh.
Like with it's like it's one thing of like being a fan yourself and like loving this idol, but when you learn that like this idol is like they have another idol that they are really inspired by, or like aspire to be like that really hits a chord. Like Luna, I can say,
Yeah.
for example, one example is one of the members, Go On, was a fan of a group called Oh My Girl, and they were her inspiration for becoming a performer. And there was a really sweet moment on the variety show that they were on where the 2 members who were there from Oh My Girl, when Go On was dancing to one of their songs, they came up and started dancing with her, and everyone got super emotional.
Oh.
And then just to add on to that is that not only like they are like us are admiring other idols, but they are inspiring other fans who become future idols, because later on in that same time frame, a group called Weekly, one of the members, Jihan, is this huge fan of Luna. And there was this really sweet moment on Fact and Star when she was talking about that, and she got a message from Olivia, who was her favorite member, and she got so emotional and
Oh.
cried. And
Yeah.
you
Oh
think
wow.
like, this group Weekly, they just debuted last year, in summer of last year. So like they're still very young, but like, you think eventually they're going to have someone like a group who like, or a fan, there's going to be someone that who was inspired by them. It's just going to be this cycle of like they're always inspiring other people who like they could eventually become idols and stuff like that. Just this whole cycle of like
Yeah.
so many idols
And
inspiring each other is just that's really sweet to think
and
about.
it's also really sweet when, like, as you said, when those interactions eventually happen. Because Ice One's Cheon is a huge fan of Red Velvet Silgi, but in recent times she has gotten to, like, hang out with her, and I think they've become,
Yeah.
basically friends.
Mhm.
And it's honestly always really sweet, because the idols themselves, like, they know, like, we can actually talk. We can meet them. I live for idol interactions, to be honest, and like
Mhm.
I live to piece together like how do these two friends know each other? How did this happen? Because like one of my favorite things in K-pop is the Padding's friend group. It's like a friend group of idols that has like idols from multiple companies in it, and I'm just like, for most of them, I know how it happened. Either like Kai and Taemin, they are friends since their childhood, both SM idols. Makes sense. Ravi is a member of VIX. VIX debuted at the same time as EXO. They met on a music show. Makes sense. And then the BTS is Jimin, who I'm like, how did he end up here? Like, I'm happy they're friends, but how did this happen exactly? I know it.
Or
Yeah.
instances of
It's
like
just
all these
curious
different
piece together.
idols just so happened to go to the same school, so they were all classmates with each other, and that's how they knew each
Yeah.
other.
But honestly, I found with idols being classmates, that rarely means they know each other because the idols basically never go to school anyways.
Yeah, true.
I found, and then like even if they go to school, the odds of the idols of the two different groups being at school at the same time, like oh I missed that week, but they were here this week, and it's just they probably don't meet that much in school.
True, but sometimes idols and I'm talking about male idols right now. Sometimes it doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily have to be an idol and an idol interaction. It can also be an idol and a streamer interaction, for example. The example I'm going to use is Day6, Jay, and Saikuno, a K-pop idol and a streamer. And I've looked into that friendship for a bit, and the amount of shipping for those two is insane. I've talked to Maria a lot about it, and Maria has a lot of examples as well. So
Honestly, DX is turning into a male K-pop idol because K-pop idol fan because of Jay. Honestly, it's like especially like the company JYP. At one point, he was also interested in GOT7, and I was just like, there is something going on. What's happening? But yeah, it's honestly, I'm so happy that like Jay has been like interacting with others like non-idols, but also who are like kind of popular streamers. And to be honest, I really hope the likes of Sakura, etc., can do it as well, because I know like as in SM Heechul, he has been overall SM idols have been doing a lot of like esports stuff, and Heechul is a big esports fan and like follows the Korean professional esports player Faker a lot. And it's like really fun to see like those interactions as well. So I hope the gamer idols can become even more gamer, so to say.
I think one of my favorite moments of an idol becoming an idol fan becoming an idol, meeting their favorite idol is Chöprang in music and all the BNK girls going to the Solsenkyo in 2018, sitting at a table just going, look, it's Minageshi Minami, it's Nathan, it's Sato Minami, just going, what is going on? Just going like, can you please sign? And there's like, they have vlogs that are up on the BNK YouTube channel, and some of them are subbed by fans. Just go watch that and go watch these fans just going, oh, look at them, they're real. Oh look, she's so pretty.
This reminds me of you talk.
It reminds me of when Sally met Sugai-sama.
Oh yeah,
the first time.
That.
And how she had her manager kind of get them together to talk, because like Sally was always like idolizing and praising like Sugai-sama.
Yeah, she
and
forgot
it kind of reminds me of
herself.
that.
Yeah, she forgot she was an idol herself by that time. I was like, oops.
The interaction I just thought of was like when Jurina went to meet the members of MNL48. It was like when they were practicing and she went to meet with them. There was this really cute interaction with one of the members, Sella, who was like going to greet her, and she messed up her Japanese. She was supposed to say "anata ga kirei," which means you are pretty, but instead she said "watashi ga kirei," which means I am pretty. She was like so nervous and flustered. It was so cute.
It's true though, so it's fine.
Yeah. For me, what came to mind is my favorite member of SGO48, Mochi. Like when SGO went to Asia Fest, like she met Okada Nana, who she's a big fan of, and like she came back from that experience a changed girl. Like before, she was a cute girl. I would say like, your normal idol look, and then she came back and she was like cut her hair short, dyed it, and like, a totally different style that was so obviously styled after Nachan, and it was just so adorable. I still love her so much.
Those moments are great. Even Chapra went to Sayaka's graduation concert after meeting her once at the Solsenkyo. And that whole trip is just like her going, I am meeting a god. This is amazing. And that joy, I was just like, that's the way I feel if I could ever meet you. This is like peak having, like, I understand you on a basic level. This is the same for us.
And there is also Hitomi. Like, she was a fan of Sakura and Nako before Rise One happened. And like, you can honestly even see a bit of that gap during like No Way Man when that was filmed, because that was like when they didn't really know each other yet. They were all together in Ice One, but they were like, I know you exist, like, we're kind of closer than we were, but also, still kind of awkward because you don't really have that much common ground, and you could see like Hee-chan usually standing, a bit apart, and it's so amazing to see the difference now when, they're really, really close.
And she colored her hair, which looks amazing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
If AKB doesn't stop coloring her hair, if they make her stop coloring her hair, I'm organizing a riot. I'm I'm getting I'm getting the torches and I'm attacking the company. Let Hee-chan dye her hair, because it would be a crime to not let her. It would be a crime.
I mean, I don't see why not. In the underground scene, I see girls with crazy hair colors all of the time. Like, they don't care.
She recently cut her hair short and dyed it like purple, and she looks so good.
It looks really cute. I've seen it too.
Good.
Yeah.
Honestly, she's basically unrecognizable from her time in AKB. It's just like a totally different girl. The image there is nothing in common with her previous image, I would say. She went from a snarky kid to being like, the elegant, poised lady, even, I would say. She's just amazing. Like, I fell in love with her in Ice One. I didn't expect it, but like during Violetta era, especially, that was like when the image change started. It started with her airport fashion, especially. Like, at one point, I was just like looking at her airport pictures, and I was like, she looks really good. Others would be like, I don't know, in sweatpants and, casual clothes, because, they're about to be in a plate fight. It's a long time. And Hee-chan will be in a pretty dress, a different dress every time, perfect makeup, no matter what time it was. It could be 4 a.m. She would have, pretty makeup, beautiful outfit, would be smiling to the fans. And it was honestly, she really went for the image change consciously, I think. It was like, I know what I want to be, and I am going to do it.
Yeah, I don't think she's going to go back to the snarky kid we knew from Team 8, to be quite honest. So I think she's going to keep this persona in a way. I think she's going to keep it for the rest of her career, I would say. So
they're all gonna come back, and they're all gonna be so different. It's gonna be a big change for both HKT and AKB with Team 8.
Yeah, definitely. Come again?
Maria, your microphone.
Muted. Microphone's muted.
Okay.
But I wonder how it's going to be for the rest of the members, to be quite honest, because there's going to be this performance level and performance is going to be huge between the former Ice One members and the rest of the 48 group.
Oh yeah.
Still muted, Maria.
Yeah, still muted, by the way.
Still muted?
Oh,
no, you're good.
Oh no,
Not
you're
anymore.
good.
You're good.
We
You're
hear
good.
you.
Yay. So, what I was meant to say, I think I forgot.
That always happens.
Oh, I've been talking with Mette. If Hee-chan doesn't have like a photo book, like when she comes down, like within a year, I'm also going to be mad, because she's working so hard on her body as well. Like at the moment, she's building muscle, I think, Like she has talked that she has talked with her trainer, like how to build muscle, and she's eating 4 meals
Yeah,
a
for
day
bulking,
now,
yeah, I know.
which is,
Mhm.
yeah. Which also makes me think, like, a lot of people were worried about her weight loss at one point, but I was always convinced that it was, very controlled, and she wasn't no time. That she decided, I want to be, I don't know, thinner, and then now she's decided, I want to be, not just thin, but also, very fit, which I'm excited to see.
Mm.
Marie and I are planning riots all the time, We're just writing it down, waiting for our time. We're gonna take them all down one by one.
I'm not surprised at this point. I'm not surprised at this point.
All right. Well,
I
we
supplies
are.
to pitchfork,
Okay.
Mette supplies to torches.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're almost an hour and a half in since we started recording. So,
Mm.
let's see. What should be any closing thoughts that anyone would like to give on this discussion?
I have one more thing
Oh,
to say
please.
before. Something that I also really like is when you're a fan of an idol and then you go see other idols and then they just talk about that other idol that you usually see. Because
Mm.
I've had experience in that.
Are
Somebody's
some
knocking at my door. That's weird. What the hell? Hold on.
Ghost.
Oh, yeah.
Just go on with whatever.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
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 It's okay. So, any closing thoughts, anyone?
Idols are great. Love them. Stand them. They're great.
Short, concise, and keep writing down that riot list. We'll take it next year when we can go to Asia again.
Wow.
Starting in Japan, then going to Thailand, then going to Korea.
Oh, God.
AKB still hasn't gotten their shiz together by the time. Like, we're gonna go and kick them in the butt, like, do something. Me and Mette, I've said a lot. It's like, oh, want to poke them with a stick? Like, do something. Just like, move. Something. Anything.
Yeah, anything, to be quite honest. I wonder when. Yeah, I know STU is supposed to release an NV tomorrow, I think, around noon, the Netherlands time. So I'm looking forward to that. And I think for the rest, it's more like if you get into the fandom, try not to go try not to go too extreme in the fandom, I would say, because try to keep your fandom and your personal life together at all times, to be quite honest. And it's okay to be a fan, but don't go hardcore or don't go too hardcore, basically. So
Oh, and also don't believe every rumor you see. It happens so much on Twitter. It's like, oh, but I saw I don't know, I saw somebody else say it, and that somebody else also saw somebody else say it on the timeline. And then in the end, there's talks like, oh, there's 100, there's 1,000 haters planning on sending hate messages to him or her on her birthday, and it's like, have you actually seen those 1,000 haters, or have you seen people talking about those 1,000 haters? Because it's like nobody has seen those haters.
yeah,
People just say
exactly.
they exist.
It's from rumors, on rumors, basically. Or in Dutch, it's more like that type of Facebook stuff, or it was said on Facebook or something like that. It's more like do some research, I would say. Don't go copy pasting advice. But Steve, you want to say something?
Yeah. Sorry, my RA was knocking on my door for a survey or something, just randomly out of nowhere. But yeah, like I was saying, I find it really interesting when you go see other idols and then they just talk to you just about that idol that you mostly see. Because in my case with Anna, when I would go see other groups besides Owen Shoujo, which is the group that she was in, when I would go see and do check-ins with other members, they'd always be like, "Oh, how's Anna doing? How is she doing?" They're really interested in this dynamic relationship. Always ask me, "Oh, how is she doing?" I'm like, "Nice, she's doing really good." But those kind of interactions, I also think that are really unique to Idol as well. For the members or the idols that really don't care, that they're really happy that just seeing you're interacting with all sorts of idols. Obviously, you might not be their main favorite idol, but they're still happy that you've come in to go see them. No, but I still like those.
Yeah. There's always that sense of gratefulness, basically. Yeah.
Doesn't that happen a lot in the 48 groups as well? with when you go to the Akshukai or
Oh, I have a good
What?
story for this one. So CGM they debuted 2020 February 12th, I think, or 14th, no 12th. And they haven't had a lot of handshake events, and it's been kind of iffy about how many people wants to go to handshake events. So at times there are really a lot of lanes that are open for the girls. And you see that there are some fans that try to go to every single lane, just going, oh, you're doing great, you're doing nice. And then they keep having like fun with the fans who are standing in other lines, just going, oh, you should come here. We can talk about we can talk about my friend who is your fan of, and those kind of that interaction with you're friends with everyone in the group. You love everyone, even though you have your favorite. It makes the whole fan community and the community you have with your idols so much more better, in my opinion.
Also, you feel like a compliment, I think, to an idol. For example, if the other idols you like are like really popular ones, and then you have one who isn't that popular, and you go to see them, and they're like, "Oh, you're also a fan of them," and you're like, it's almost like you're putting them on the same, level and standard as the like really popular ones. So I can imagine it's almost like a compliment. You think me as good as them. I idolize them, and you think I'm as good as the ones I idolize. Yeah.
All right, so I guess to close it out with me, I'd say because, I have gone from like going through J-pop idols into K-pop idols, so I've seen, the different sides of both of them. And I guess just in general, talking about idols in general, like there is so much to love about them because they're all so different. Like for anyone who is interested in getting into idols, you're definitely gonna find something that you're gonna absolutely love about whether it's just like a solo idol or a particular group, whether it's through their music or the members' personalities or anything else. You're guaranteed to find something that you can really latch onto, and that'll lead you into just falling for the group more. Learning more about them is going to just broaden that experience. And yeah, with how like passionate idol fans can be, it can seem daunting, and it can be like, maybe like a little too intense, but like just speaking from, experience and, hearing everyone else's stories, it's like it's so rewarding being able to like learn about these idols and have these experiences with them, basically. So yeah. But yeah, this was a really fun discussion to do. Again, really happy that you guys from Idol Downtime could join us for this.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
But yeah. So yeah, that'll do it for our discussion for today. So if you like this video, be sure to leave a like, comment down below some of what you love about idols or what are some idols that you love. Just share your own experiences with us and subscribe for more content like this, and we'll see you guys in the next video. So until then, bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye,
See you
everyone.
guys.
Bye.